Hello, people. Welcome back to Elden Ring. I haven't done too much since the last video at all. I just kind of... My controller broke for a second. Hold on. That's weird. Oh, there it goes. There we go. I don't know why that happened. Anyways, haven't done much. I killed the boy over here and then got an armor piece from one of these two dudes. So, I'm armor now. I don't know if I got the staff in the last video. I don't think I got the spell though. Anyways, welcome back to Elden Ring. I just kind of feel like playing. If I can, I'm gonna try and record some Elden Ring with a friend. Because they have the mod as well, and I want to record with them. They don't want to record because they edit their videos. I don't. Which what you see is what you get. I should I should learn editing later, I think, although the last editing software I used definitely didn't just crash like half my computer. Nah. No. Didn't happen. I refuse to believe it. Anyway, um, anyways. No, I'm hoping to get that set up. The only reason I can't right now is because all of my save files with that friend are on my PC, and I can't transfer those save files onto my laptop, which is what I'm currently playing on, and is where, my recording software and all that is. And while I can get recording software on my PC, my PC just needs an upgrade. My laptop's just better than my PC overall. It has less storage, but I'm working on upgrading my PC. I need money for that though, and I'm poor and can't get a job because the economy sucks. And yeah, on paper the economy's great, on paper, but that's it. So if anybody ever tells you it's great here in America, go the other way. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have a few freedoms that quite a few other countries don't have. Like, freedom of speech covers a lot more over here, I believe. Um, not that might not be worth doing because it's kind of impossible to get work. Just a little bit, you know? Just a little impossible to get work over here. Hence, you know. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually impossible to get work over here. Oh, damn. I didn't get poisoned. Anyways, yeah, no, it's impossible to get a job here. Like, honestly, it is, and that kind of just sucks. Ah, yeah, no, it sucks here. Honestly, it does. But then again, everywhere kind of sucks. Everywhere kind of sucks. Everywhere will suck, at least, if it doesn't already. It's called the process of life sucks. Life is hard. It shouldn't be, but that's how the people in power want it. What do I need? I need 18 strength. Two more. Two more. Um, the reason why I'm trying to one-hound the Bloodhound thing is so I can use my Glintstone valuable more. Of course, I'm gonna be two-handing it most of the time anyways, but, you know, having spells, I want to be able to wield spells because spells are fun sometimes. Oh, and the only reason I'm not currently continuing my Um, my New Game Plus run is because honestly, I did not feel like doing that right now. Just did not feel like doing New Game Plus right now. Kind of want to chill, do something I had not done before, which, I might actually go grab that now that I think about it. I should have the stats for it, though. So I'm gonna go kill Renala, I think, first, and then I'll go grab the item I want. Because I've tried to do a Berserker weapon run, but never been able to. What to talk about? What to talk about for this episode of Elden Ring and wanting to hear regular people's thoughts about things? Honestly, what's your guys' opinions on not supporting companies that you don't agree with? Like, for instance, I don't support Visa, but kinda have to use Visa since Visa MasterCard is accepted in quite a few places where I am. So it's the card I end up having to use most of the time. Uh, you know, it's the card my parents use for the most part. But I just want to know everybody's opinion on it because Visa sucks. It basically just blackmails other companies and shit into doing what it wants. Which I think I speak for all of us when I say that it's not okay to blackmail somebody into doing something you want them to do. Which quite a few AAAs did. Just a few. Although, a lot of those accusations were settled as well, which could go either way. I could see it going either way in people's minds. Like, hey, why would they settle if they weren't guilty? And B, why did they settle if they were guilty? You know, like why did the accusers settle if they weren't guilty? They would have had to offer like a lot of money, more than they would have gotten in a non-settlement. But like at the same time, that the company probably wouldn't have risked that, especially since that information was already public. So like, you know, you know, like if something comes out about you because you're say a bad company or whatever, right? Let's say something comes out about your company that your workers sexually harass the employees, right? Your male workers or female workers sexually harass every other person in the company, right? Is it then okay to would you settle? Like actually, I'm I'm curious because I don't think victims should settle in that scenario. And let's say you're the company. Would you offer a settlement? Like, of course, I'm willing to bet you'd offer a settlement if you're this multi-millionaire, $1 million corporation. Sorry, not millionaire, $1 million. But like, if you're the victim, would you accept that? Because like the settlement would have to be more than you think you can win in a lawsuit. But at the same time, the company wouldn't be willing to offer more than you would win in a settlement, offer a settlement that's more than you would win in a lawsuit, especially, well, sorry, not especially, if the information's already out there and it's already done damage to the company. Why would you settle? I mean, the only way I can see them offering a settlement that's worth taking would be if they've got a lot more to hide and they don't want people looking into them, right? So that's the only way it makes sense to me, which is concerning. And then there's the other side of it where, like, if you're the victim, why would you accept the settlement if you would win like a lot more in the court and all that stuff, right? Like, if it's obvious you're gonna win more in court, then why would you settle? Like, it's really weird to think about, you know? It is really weird to think about. Like, why would you settle in this scenario when you know you have the upper hand? The information's already released, so you can't really do anything about that. But what you can do is you can definitely make it to where, the company has to pay you quite a bit. You know, oh, you goddamn fudging thing. Message. Um, like seriously though, what would your view on that be? Because that seems like an admission of guilt from the company. Yet at the same time, it can definitely be seen as the victims don't have a strong enough case. But if it does get dragged into the open, then it's going to cause some problems for the company. In which case, as a victim, are you then can you then be seen as responsible for not dragging some of that stuff out into the open? Because like, if you know they're doing this stuff and they offer a settlement that's less than what you would actually get in a lawsuit, why would they offer you that settlement? A and B, if you don't have a strong enough case, or you don't have a case at all, that's really the only way I can see you settling. But even, especially if it's against women, you don't need a super strong case. The court of public opinion or public approval is extremely strong. Like legitimately. Court of public approval determines a lot about, the future of some people. You know, it's weird to look at and think about. But no, it's just like, you know? Like, why would you accept that settlement? Especially if you have a good case against people. Uh, Probably needless thoughts, probably. But it's thoughts nonetheless that I have about the entire situation. Since it's already too late to do anything about. Oh, I'm so gonna get rotted. Oh, I'm not gonna get rotted. Oh my god, it's a miracle and a half. Anyways, would you settle in that scenario? Like, actually. Because settling doesn't make much sense. Because you could make so much more if you could actually win a lawsuit. And in most cases, if you're threatening the lawsuit, you should have quite a bit of evidence around that. Especially with some of their claims that you should have quite a bit of evidence if you're accusing somebody of that. Unless you're just trying to freak out the company into settling with you because you know that if they fight it, nothing good's gonna come of it, Like they're gonna get really dug into and it's just not gonna work out well for them. Like that type of scenario. But then, is that like could that be considered as blackmailing or threats? It's like I could definitely see it being seen as, say, a threat or something like that, because I mean that's what it is. It's a threat. You know? Anyways, yeah, that's just kind of weird to think about. And now I've got to do this hit list because I got rotted. At least now I don't gotta worry about the rot. And of course. Anyways, no, like what's your guys' overall opinion of that? Because that's like really weird to settle in that situation, you know? Uh, that might just be a me thing, but like I don't know, seems weird. Like especially if you have an actual case there. But no, there's plenty of situations like that, I think, where they settle to cover something up rather than get out of what they're already in, you know? I'm sure there's plenty. I am sure there are plenty. But I kinda want to know your guys' opinion of that. Because, like, I could definitely see it going both ways. You know? On another note, uh, when it comes down to, like, you know, false accusations or stuff like that, do you guys think the person should get jail time? If you falsely accuse somebody of, like, rape or sexual assault or something like that, should you get jail time? I know a lot of people think that, and yeah, I kind of agree with it. A lot of people have said, "Hey, you should serve the amount of time they would serve." I think that's iffy. But like at the same time, I can see where they're coming from. No. I can definitely see where they're coming from. Can you come closer, please? And I'm dead. Anyways, like seriously, what's your guys' opinions on stuff like that? Like what would what do you think would be a fitting punishment for that? Because I do think there should be some sort of punishment for it. I think jail time should work. Maybe community service. I don't think community service would work. Not my opinion. It's like one accusation can ruin somebody's life permanently, right? So like, I feel like maybe put on like a record of false accusers. I feel like that would. I feel like that should be a thing. I feel like that would be the first part of it. You're like, oh hey, you falsely accused somebody. You're put on this record, and whenever you move to a new area whenever you introduce yourself to like the opposite gender or something like that, you gotta do that, or whatever gender you made the false accusation against. Like you gotta make sure that they know. No, I feel like that should. I feel like that's a fair punishment. I think it's fair to be like, hey, you know, I feel like that's a fair enough punishment. I think it's fair to ask that. Do like a false accusation registry, maybe? Name in workshop, but like, I think that's a fair thing to ask of somebody. Hey, have you ever falsely accused somebody? Do we have to be worried about any false accusations coming from you or anything like that? Because there are people who do have to worry about that, and there have been like multiple false accusations from the same person before. You know, so like, feel like it, feel like it's fair to ask for them to be put on a registry. Of course, not to like stop them from investigating a claim or something like that, but from also, making sure that they know that it's a possibility that they are lying so that somebody's life doesn't end up getting ruined. I feel like that's a fair thing to ask. Definitely not their locations. Because, like, if you're an actual sex offender, I feel like your location needs to be monitored. But if you're just a false accuser, I feel like you should get some jail time and, like, you know, be put on a registry so people know who you are. I think that's I think that's fair to ask of. I feel that that's like a fair punishment, I guess. Fair cost for the crime because it should be a crime. I mean, so should paternity front. Which, fun fact, do you guys know men don't have any rights to their daughters, sons, whatever? Like at birth, the father has no right to the child, which is wild to think about. Because there's been a few cases where it's happened where the mother has put the child up for adoption without the father being involved, even though the father is a perfectly suitable father. In fact, custody has been awarded to these fathers a few times. Um, Although there's one big case currently happening. Last I checked, I actually heard it from a channel called the Dadvocate, I think it's called. I believe that was the channel I heard it on. Um, but she talked about the situation, and it's like, hey, you know, this father probably will never ever be able to meet his daughter, even though he's a perfectly suitable parent, and it was proven by the court and stuff because they've already been adopted and all this stuff. So yeah, some people have been pointing that out, and it's like, oh, damn, that that's sad, you know? And I could understand if it was like abuse or something like that, but like at the same time, there's situations where it's just not abuse, and I feel like there's a need to point that out and maybe do something about that. Hell, there are registries that you have to sign up for just to know if your child's been put up for adoption. And these registries aren't like advertised or anything like that. Like this father, the one I'm talking about, that probably won't be able to see his child at the rate that it is going. Um, not being on the registry can actually be a detriment in the court if you're trying to get access to get, you know, custody over your child. Or hell, just visitation rights. And that's not, I don't think that's okay, dude. Like, at all. I don't think it's okay to say or really do that. Now, I can understand in certain situations, but in some, in fact, quite a few, I believe, I would think so at least, because there's got to be some where that's not the case, where abuse just isn't the case. I think there should be a reason. You have to give a reason for why you want to adopt a child without, the permission of the father. Which can only happen, I believe, if the father isn't on the birth certificate, but there's cases where that happens. So it's like, oh, you know, kind of goes like, oh, but no, I'm curious what would you guys think would be a suitable like punishment for what should be a crime? Oh yeah, shit. Did you guys hear I say you guys. Oh, fucking no. I feel like I'm just talking to my friends on this channel since those are the only two that are subscribed. Hi, hello. If you watch this, you're a nerd. Go back to sleep. No, no. Seriously though, there was actually a study done a while back that basically proved that around 40% of the people that it tested, that the people that were tested by this study, 40% of the children were not related to the fathers. And that's only of the, like, you know, that's only of the people who were actually in the trial or in the test. Like, that is a massive amount. And it wasn't like a small sample either. Like, that's 40% of like a relatively okay sample size of people, you know? And it's like, oh shit, they didn't know they weren't the fathers type stuff. Like it wasn't oh, they're the stepfather, which I've heard women compare the two, like being a stepfather to being not knowing that your child is your child isn't your child. Right? I've heard people compare the two. It's the same thing. No. No, it is not. It is nowhere near the same thing. It is nowhere near the same thing. If you're the stepfather, you're or like actually you actually know what you're getting into. Like if you're dating a woman and she already has a kid, then you know that that kid's going to be part of that woman's life. You know that this kid isn't yours. You choose to be there for the kid. But if you and this is goes into a few places psychologically speaking, but that can break somebody. It's caused people to commit suicide before. Like I really wish it wasn't all like doom and gloom here, but like it's broken people before. There are people that have been caused severe pain by this stuff. And that's not talking. That is not at all talking about like the long-term health issues and stuff that the child can have because of that. This is purely just talking about the father in this scenario. Because it's like, oh, for the entire God knows how long you've raised this kid has been yours. And yeah, some can be like, hey, look, you're still gonna be my kid. Even not by blood, but you're still gonna be my kid. Some are like that. Some are. And yeah, that makes sense. But there are some that it just breaks them because the person that they're supposed to trust the most, the person that, you know, they chose to spend their life with, just utterly lied to them and destroyed all self-worth they had. Not just that, but made them raise a child that wasn't theirs. And that can definitely just sow hate because it wasn't up to them in that scenario. It really wasn't. Now, I'm not saying it's like, you know, assault or anything like that. I do believe it should be able to be filed under like emotional abuse, maybe, because that's what it can be dumbed down to. But that's iffy. Like that, calling it emotional abuse is iffy. But I guess that determines on like what happens at the end of that, you know. But there's been cases like I heard a father took his life at a theme park because of the amount of abuse that his girlfriend, I believe she was at the time, was putting him there. That's that's incredibly sad. And like the police, she lied to the police about it, and the police weren't even really investigating into it. And that's insane. They didn't look at her claims at all, and it's sad. Like honestly, it's sad to see. And that's just one. God knows how many others there are. That's just one that I know about. I cannot tell you how many men have taken their life because of a scenario like that. I'm sure there's more. 100% sure there's more. But, you know, it be what it be. And it's sad. Hell, there was a few years ago, I watched this video. It's from Paternity Court. This is a true story. Um, this lady basically maliciously, and I do say maliciously, like this was proven that it was malicious, waited until her ex was unable to get a car or anything like that to show up for court and put him on child support, which automatically by default made him the father, and got him put in jail when he couldn't pay child support. Now, slight problem. Turns out he wasn't even the father. Like, they proved it. He wasn't the father. So he was actually put in jail, and I believe she was sentenced to like pay him back all the money and stuff. But like the fact that she got away with it for years, for like 16, 17 years or something like that, alone is insane. Like actually. It's insane that she got away with that and that he was put in jail for a child that wasn't even his. And yeah, I believe she was sentenced to pay back some of the money, but like that is years off of this dude's life. Because he was in jail for 3, 4 years, I think. I think it might have been more, but he was in jail for a while. Like, it wasn't just a small amount of time. By any means. And, like, yeah, that ain't that good in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I personally think that is an incredibly terrible thing to do. Especially because the girlfriend at the time the lady who had the kid waited to make sure that it was impossible for him to show up for court. And that's insane. She admitted to it. Well, okay, sorry. She didn't admit to directly doing it, but she did admit that she, made sure that it was scheduled in a way that he could not, she knew he wasn't going to be able to attend, basically. So, that she basically said, hey, I knew he wouldn't be able to be there at this time on this day. So, like, yeah, when he wasn't there at that time on this day, he was put on child support, which is wild because he was in the military. So, like, they had to have his DNA or something, right? Uh, Even if they didn't, the court should have known if he was like overseas or deployed or something like that. They have the military personnel. Like, they have the records. Like, bro, this is just oh hey, it was partially the court's fault, but courts are encouraged to have, men on child support and all this other stuff. They get money out of it. I think it's tax dollars. But yeah, no, they get some of the money out of it. So like, yeah, it's wild to see. Why should I dodge that? But yeah, no. Ah. Wait, this thing does stance pressure? I don't fucking know that. Dodge too early. I don't know why I'm trying to block with this weapon. I don't have a shield. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna down how fighting this in case. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. I downed two, not one. Okay. Anyways, like seriously, that is such a sad thing to see. Like honestly, it's depressing to see that that's a thing that can happen. Uh, And yeah, it's a thing that does happen to men, and it's terrible. It is terrible. It shouldn't happen. Hell, there are states that tried mandating it, mandating DNA testing for children at birth, but women fought against that. And like, why would you? Why would you fight against that? That makes sure A, if the father is not the father, your child, you're fucked. The child actually can, make sure that they don't get some random genetic disease that, you know, won't kill them, which is a possibility. I have a genetic disease from my dad. Otherwise, I'm not sure I'd know my dad's my actual dad. I think we'd actually have to, DNA test me to find out that my dad's my dad. Which, that sucks. It does. I do not, I really wish that was not the case. But that's the way it is. And, you know, a genetic disease that, gets passed down through bloodlines, guess what? I did not mean to do that. If the father of your child has it, then your child also has the ability to have it. And it has happened way too many times where, It's like, hey, uh, you have to pay child support for a kid that isn't yours or something like that. Because 40% of just the sample size that they had, which don't get me wrong, it was an okay sample size, but like, again, that was only people who participated in it. They didn't force anybody to participate in it. They could not force anybody to participate in it. So imagine how many fathers are in that situation without knowing. Like, actually, it's absolutely insane. It's why I think blood tests, DNA tests, sorry, not blood tests, should be mandatory. Like, legitimately, I think it should be mandatory. Because, like, I'm sorry, but are you really gonna try and say, hey, you know, if your child gets this random genetic fucking disease that neither you nor your husband have, and it's only through genetics, you're gonna have someone fucking explaining to do, A, to the child, and B, to the father, or, well, not the father, but the one who raised them. And yeah, they can be called the father as well and all that stuff, but like, there's some that don't want to be in that scenario. But there are women that fought against the idea of mandatory DNA tests to see if a child is father, which is like, dude, that's suspicious as fuck. Like, legitimately, if you ever date a lady who doesn't think mandatory DNA testing should be a thing, heads up, be cautious. I'm not saying she's gonna cheat or anything, because it's likely, it's possible that they won't. But like at the same time, you know that this lady doesn't like DNA testing kids to see if they're yours or not. And they directly fought against a law that would make hospitals do that. So yeah, that's a little weird. Little weird. All right, I think it's okay to say that that's a little fucking weird, and that you might want to watch yourself around someone like that. Because if you date somebody like that and they cheat, and they have the affair, if they have an affair, and they have a kid with that affair partner, they're not gonna tell you, most of the time at least. Like, legitimately. It's not, oh, they're not gonna be nice enough to tell you they've been cheating on you for God knows how long in whatever relationship you're having. They're just not gonna let you know. It's insane, you know? Like, I'm just gonna let you know. Be careful if you ever date somebody like that. Like, ever. I I feel like that should be a thing you should be cautious of. More cautious than like a regular relationship. Just saying. I think it's a good thing to be cautious there. You know, I think it's a good idea to be a little bit cautious in that situation. Ah, just thought about a next talking point and then I fucking forgot it. Oh. Um, Here's one. Like, when it comes to DNA testing with stuff like that, why would it not be okay? Like, honestly, if you're a lady watching this, why would you want, why would you not want mandated DNA tests? Because if you have a shit boyfriend or whatever, or you have a one night stand, and you realize, oh shit, the father's not going to want to pay child support, having the mandatory DNA testing will make it to where he is automatically on child support. Like, there is no dodging the responsibility or anything like that by trying to avoid not getting tested. So it's kind of like, why would you not want that in those scenarios? Like, it literally, women fighting against that ruin that for other women in actual like scenarios where it could help them. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's kind of like the whole, you know how Amber Heard falsely accused Johnny Depp, right? So Amber Heard falsely accuses Johnny Depp, and then a lot of accusers are now going to have more of a spotlight on them, which they should. I do believe that it should be, hey, innocent until proven guilty. I think that should be the rule, but it's kind of proven not to be the rule so much in the past years. Kind of been going like, oh, hey, do whatever you want type stuff. You know, not really, not really my thing. Not really. I don't think that that's okay. I don't think that's okay at all. Um, anyways, seriously though, like, what is, she hurt other women by doing what she did and then tried to proclaim that she was helping women. Why do people do that? And that goes for like Tate as well. People like Tate, people who are in the like manosphere and shit. You say, hey, I'm doing this for men, yet you hurt men. Like, I'm sorry, but do you really think that that's okay to do? Obviously not, otherwise you wouldn't be hiding it. So like, what's the deal there? You're hiding it, so obviously you've got something to hide. Which is kind of like, hey, guess what? You know, it's kind of like, oh shit. It's just weird to see. Because that's what a lot of people who make it worse for whatever side does. And that goes for everything. And everyone. Like, I brought this up in the last video. With the Prometheus fucking study, it proved that you don't want to see yourself in video games. You, at most, you want to see an idealized version of yourself. You don't want to make an accurate, 99% of people don't want an accurate representation of themselves in video games. And yeah, that's perfectly fine. But like at the same time, why do like gay, trans, pretty much anybody want an accurate representation of themselves in video game? Like an actual like straight up straight up just insert yourself here type into a video game. I don't think that should be like, I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's normal. And it was proven to actually be a negative effect on the mind and how you view oneself. Like it was actually proven. Like it's not just, you know, me saying shit out my ass. It was proven. So like, why? Why? Why would you want that? Like in any way, shape, form, or fashion? It's weird to see that, right? Like it's weird to see people want that, and this is a big thing I have with everything in general. Why can't you relate? Okay, let's say that my mom dies. Like we're all 50 years old. All of our moms are dead. All right, all of our moms and dads or caretakers, whoever took care of us growing up, are dead. All right, can you not like can you not empathize with me? Can you not relate to me in that with that? Like I think that's relatable. Like you don't have to be the same race, gender, sex as me to relate to that feeling of being sad over something like that. Everybody's been trashed, everybody's been bad-mouthed, all of that stuff. That's a human experience. It's not like, hey, it's an actually human experience. And I feel it's important to point out you don't need to relate to somebody exactly like you. I don't think it should be a forced thing for someone to be like you. I think it should come naturally, just like it comes naturally to you, because that's what you are. You're a natural person. You're human just like the rest of us, you know? It's natural for you to be the way you are. It's not unnatural or anything like that. So why is it like, hey, you know, we're gonna we have to force you into these games and stuff. Otherwise, you're not gonna be in them. Because that's just wrong. It's like Prince of Persia, for instance, has I believe an Egyptian main character or Persian. Sorry, not Egyptian, Persian main character. They're not fucking white. Like I'm. Oh no, a Persian character in a Persian video games. And where does DEI and stuff stop at? Like, should we force white people into black video games? DEI is not gonna do that. Because in that game, the minority would be white people. And it's like, what the fuck? It's like what you're trying to treat games like their reality, which don't get me wrong. Games and media can affect how people view others, but like I don't know if you guys have heard of her. I've talked about her a few times on this channel. A trans writer for Veilguard. So many people think she's a like how do I word this? Company insert. Like, she's not actually trans. Because she is the exact stereotype that people that like transphobes talk about when they're like being transphobic. And other trans people have called her this. Like, I'm not just saying it because I think that. No. There are actual trans people in her comments being like, dude, what the fuck? Type stuff. I'm not gonna say she's not trans or anything like that. I'm gonna obviously use the correct pronouns for her and stuff like that. But like, people think she's an industry plant because of the way she acts. And I'm like, okay, that's wild. Just a little bit wild. You know? Um, how the fuck do you reply to something like that? Like, I'm sorry. How do you reply to your fucking like somebody who's said some sorry, how do I word this? Oh, And here's another thing I recently found out she did. She accused people of fetishizing trans people, while most of her OnlyFans page is fetishizing herself, who is a trans person. And the people she accused of fetishizing trans people have no evidence or scrap of support for that claim anywhere related to them. Like widely known related to them. And it's like, something's up here. Something's up here. Not to mention, she also tried to act like Miss Rachel and do a Miss Rachel type episode of, talking to kids. And I'm talking like, if you know who Miss Rachel is, kindergarten, elementary school level kids, like first grade and kindergarten level kids. Hey, trans people. Which I could understand to some degree, but like, you don't talk to a kindergartner or a trans. You don't have teachers talk to kids like that ever. Any teacher. Like, I'm sorry. That's not normal at all. That shouldn't even be acceptable. And that's avoiding the fact that she went to Disney and like proclaimed in front of children and talked about her privates. Like, what the fuck? And it was in a public cafe, and the kids could hear them. If the kids knew anything, like had any sort of idea what she was talking about, they would have been able to tell what she meant. Like, that is how obvious it was. And she lied about the situation as well, trying to say, hey, it was super busy, nobody could hear me. The person next to me couldn't even hear me. But it's not. Like, she recorded a video there. We saw the video. The whole thing's fucking wild. Like, actually fucking wild. It is insane to see. Like, actually insane to see. The whole thing's just insane. And it's the whole thing's stupid. Like, actually stupid. And it's, the whole thing's fucking stupid. And this is the person who wrote a trans character in a video game, which, by the way, refuses to call somebody what they prefer to be called and the term that they prefer to be used when referring to them. Talk about a hypocrite. Like, actually. She wrote the character. She's directly involved with the writing of the character. She decided that this is how the character is going to treat another. And it's not like the character disrespects her or anything like that at all. The character treats her like every other character did, because they didn't put transphobia into the game or anything like that. They just make the fucking non-binary character that they inserted into the game treat somebody else like shit and not use the term they prefer to be used when referring to them. Like, actually, what the fuck? Like, that's just a little bit, a little bit weird, and I would say it's wrong. I would think it would be wrong. I would think if it was a straight person, a straight hetero, whatever, non-trans person doing that to a trans person, the straight hetero non-trans person would be blasted as a terrible character by the trans community. Just by the LGBTQ in general. Just by most people in general, I would think. But no, because it was happening to a dude who wasn't non-binary, it's perfectly fine. Because a non-binary character did it, right? Like that. It's fucking wild. That's fucking wild. Like actually, I want to know everybody watches this opinion on shit. So please tell me. Write it in the comments and description. Not the description. You guys can't write in the description. Write it in the comments. All right, just do me that honor. This is Twin Dragon signing off because I am tired and need to go to sleep because I've not slept and my dog is like trying to drag me off to my bed. Like actively. Love you, Tiger. I do love you. You're adorable. Okay, goodbye.